A silent SOS drifts across an empty ocean. No wreckage, no bodies, no explanation. Just one final radio call, calm, almost casual, before 5 US Navy planes vanished as if swallowed by the sea. The Bermuda Triangle had claimed its most famous victims, and the world had found its most enduring mystery. Somewhere between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico lies a stretch of ocean that has inspired fearful whispers for over a century. Sailors spoke of compasses that spun like drunk dancers, skies that turned black without warning, and waves that rose like living mountains. Pilots reported seeing strange horizons, sudden cloud walls, and instruments that flickered from certainty to confusion. And then, of course, there were the disappearances, hundreds of them, boats and planes that departed with confidence and simply never arrived. The legend often begins with Flight 19, a routine training mission in December 1945. 5 torpedo bombers flew into the open blue, guided by seasoned pilot Lieutenant Charles Taylor. But something was wrong, almost from the start. Taylor radioed that his compass had malfunctioned. Then another captain said the same. They didn't know where they were. Minutes later, they reported low fuel, still convinced they were flying over the Florida Keys, when in fact they had wandered far into the Atlantic. Their final transmission sounded eerily calm. "We'll fly 270 degrees until landfall. If we don't hit land, we'll ditch at sea." They never hit land. Ground crews sent a rescue plane, an enormous Mariner seaplane carrying 13 men. That aircraft vanished too, disappearing so completely that the Navy suggested it had exploded mid-air. This was not the Triangle's first mystery, nor its last. Long before radar screens flickered with red alerts, explorer Christopher Columbus recorded bewildering sights in the same region. A strange fireball falling into the sea, mysterious lights dancing on the horizon, compass readings that pulled northward with unnatural force. Columbus didn't have a name for the phenomenon, but centuries later, newspaper reporters, fascinated by ships without crews and voyages without endings, would give it a moniker that sounded supernatural: the Devil's Triangle. In 1918, the USS Cyclops, a massive Navy cargo ship, set sail from Barbados, loaded with manganese ore and carrying more than 300 people. Its captain sent no distress signal. No storms were reported, yet the ship never arrived in Baltimore. Not a single lifeboat or barrel washed ashore. The Cyclops was simply erased. It remains the largest non-combat loss of life in US Navy history, and its sister ships, the Proteus and the Nereus, would also vanish in eerily similar fashion within the Triangle's borders. These vanishings fueled speculation that stretched far beyond the surface of the sea. Theories sprang up like tropical storms, some grounded in science, others drifting into the extraordinary. Some believed the Triangle hid pockets of explosive methane gas trapped beneath the seabed. If released in huge bubbles, ships could lose buoyancy and sink instantly, their crews never given a chance to call for help. Pilots could encounter the gas in the atmosphere, choking engines and sending planes into uncontrollable dives. Others blamed unpredictable weather, pointing out that the region sits atop the world's second-largest ocean current, the Gulf Stream, a powerful warm river of sea that can swallow debris and scatter wreckage hundreds of miles away. Hurricanes and sudden microbursts erupt here with little warning, turning calm water into violent chaos in minutes. A ship caught in such a storm could disappear too quickly for even a single flare. And yet there are stories that resist simple explanations. In 1963, the Marine Sulphur Queen, a 524-foot tanker, radioed its last routine message before vanishing with its 38-man crew. For weeks the Coast Guard searched, finding only a few life vests and a chopped section of deck plating. Nothing that revealed the ship's fate. Then there was the case of the Witchcraft, a small cabin cruiser from Miami, which called the Coast Guard to report a minor collision with an unknown object. The captain said everything was under control. When rescuers arrived 19 minutes later, the boat was gone without a trace, with no sign of debris on the sparkling, undisturbed waters. Compasses truly do behave strangely in parts of this region. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north line up perfectly, causing navigational instruments to act unpredictably for those who don't account for the difference. This subtle shift might seem harmless, but when you're a pilot in the 1940s navigating over identical stretches of blue, a few degrees of error could mean hundreds of miles off course. But then, there are the theories that venture into the extraordinary. Some imagine underwater alien bases siphoning power from passing vessels. Others describe time distortions, energy vortices, or portals opened by natural magnetic anomalies. There was even one story of a pilot whose plane supposedly flew through a tunnel of swirling clouds and emerged hundreds of miles away, arriving earlier than the time it should have taken. The pilot insisted he witnessed a time warp, though scientists argue that unusual cloud formations and strong tailwinds could explain the event. Still, the story endures. Even Shakespeare got pulled into the mystery. In The Tempest, he wrote of a powerful storm born near an island full of noises, widely believed to be inspired by sailors' tales from this very region. Whether or not he intended it, Shakespeare helped plant the seeds of the Triangle's early mythology, long before the term even existed. But perhaps the most unnerving detail isn't in what the Bermuda Triangle takes, it's in what it gives back, or rather, what it doesn't. The ocean is generous with its secrets, usually offering shards of wood, life preservers, or oil slicks to mark a disaster. In the Triangle, silence reigns. The water returns nothing. For grieving families, this absence is the cruelest truth of all. Without debris, closure remains suspended, like a question never answered. Of course, many scientists argue that the Bermuda Triangle is no more dangerous than any other heavily traveled stretch of ocean. With thousands of ships and planes crossing every year, statistical chance alone could explain the disappearances. Human error, unpredictable storms, and even simple mechanical failure might account for the vast majority. Insurance companies don't charge higher rates for sailing through, and no maritime agency officially recognizes the Triangle as hazardous. Yet numbers cannot erase stories, and stories are what keep the mystery alive. Stories of seasoned captains unnerved by sudden fog walls. Stories of planes losing radio contact on crystal-clear days. Stories of compass needles trembling for no earthly reason. Even as satellite technology and modern tracking systems reduce the number of unexplained vanishings, the old legends refuse to drown. The Bermuda Triangle remains a paradox, a place defined as much by imagination as by geography. It sits on the map like a whisper, a shadow, a question mark, carved into the sea. And while science continues to peel back the layers, the truth remains tantalizingly out of reach. Maybe that's the real power of the Bermuda Triangle. not the vanishings themselves, but the space they leave behind, the void where explanations should be, a place where sailors, scientists, skeptics and storytellers all meet at the same crossroads, staring at the same horizon, wondering how a calm blue ocean can hide so many secrets. Until those secrets rise to the surface, the triangle will continue to pull us in, not with danger, but with mystery. And some mysteries, perhaps, are meant to be lived with rather than solved.